Hello, Wayne.
Hello, is this the real Andrew Neeme?
It is. It's the real one.
Please
It's
stand
the
up.
real Wayne.
Yes, it's the real Wayne. First, I want to shout out. I went to your meetup games I think it's like a month ago already, and you had a very encouraging quote from me, which is like, we were talking like a lot of us who contribute to the poker community aren't necessarily, doing it for money or whatever. It's just like we just want to give back to the community and just like be a good presence. And one of the encouraging things you said to me is, a rising tide lifts all boats. You remember this?
Is that the first time that you've heard that phrase?
That is. Is it not original from you?
No, I didn't. I'm not going to take credit for inventing that phrase. I did not invent that phrase, but
Okay, whatever. I
I
never
think
heard that phrase, but it was very encouraging.
it definitely I think applies to the whole poker vlog landscape. I think.
Fair. And Trooper was like the first one. You were one of the early adopters, right?
Yeah, Trooper was out there doing his thing. He was doing it for a while. He was doing it for maybe even a couple of years before I was. He wasn't really focused on breaking
Poker.
down poker hands,
Right.
but he was definitely out there on the Vegas backdrop scene.
The Starbucks. So,
Yeah, the man likes his coffee. I mean, he's probably a lot healthier than hanging out at a bar every other night.
yeah, that's fair. Coffee definitely helps with metabolism, lowers the risk of diabetes. Shout out to Google.
Look at it. Look, you learn, look, so many things you can learn on the new Wayne show. I mean, who knew that it was going to be this?
Yeah, nobody knew. But I got some material prepared. But first things first, we want to get. I know you've dropped this stuff in a lot of your vlogs, and we've talked in person too. But you want to drop your poker story, your individual poker story.
Yep. It goes way back to. I mean, I guess I sort of like casually discovered online poker. My little brother was into it a little bit back in like 2004 when things were just really kicking off. I had just come back from a job. I started with an internship, which became a job in London, working in the music industry, and that took me over to Los Angeles after my work visa in London was a wrap. And then I was chasing that dream. I had some music industry jobs and just playing poker super casually for a handful of years, like maybe 3 years or so, just, playing off hours, maybe once a week or something like that, dabbling in online. That, I guess, just like slowly ramped up. I occasionally, would discover, a poker forum or a book or something. And at the same time, I was kind of like losing interest in the music industry because I had the job I had in London. I really enjoyed it, but I was never able to find another job that I enjoyed to the same degree. And those sort of those two factors, the combination of them, just kind of like led me more and more into poker. And of course, back then, it was a lot easier, especially online poker, and it was accessible. The worldwide platforms were accessible to everybody. So the third factor that entered into the mix was that the economy took a dive, and the job I had at the time really started to slow down. There were some projects that didn't happen that were supposed to come in that I was going to be involved with. And then, it turned into like a part-time job, which meant more time for poker, which then it became a freelance job, more time for poker, and all the while just like, trying to grind online and putting in as many hours and enjoying it and growing a bankroll. Because like I said, it was a lot easier back then.
Right.
So that eventually just kind of led to me building up the role and making the leap into it full time. And I always like coming to Las Vegas, living in LA. I probably took like 20 trips out to Vegas from LA over the course of my 4 years of living there, and just decided I was looking for a change. I'd actually broken up with a girlfriend at the time. It was definitely like a sort of mutual thing, amicable and all that. And I was like, well, I'm gonna go make a life change. I'm gonna go check out Vegas. Cost of living is way more reasonable. Just play poker out there, and off I went.
So it's basically very similar. It's ironic that the public thinks that, oh, poker's gambling, when it's actually more stable than other industries because there's an influx of money. Whereas, like, if you're in other industries, like competing industries may take over, or the money may dry up, and then you know what, you're out of a job or you're out of income.
That's right. And you can also move around, if you think a market is more appealing to yourself as a poker player, then, these days, I mean, that's something that I've been talking about recently with my fiance is poker in Vegas. I mean, it's not exactly the mecca these days, I wouldn't say. So lots of talk about maybe making a move to California, things like that. So you can kind of take things into your own hands.
Right, absolutely. So it's a great story. You didn't name drop that you were in a Nirvana cover band. I'm almost going to need to leave for that. I want to hear your bits. So.
That is definitely needle worthy. It has nothing to do with poker whatsoever. But
I want to hear.
Yeah, well, it was just like high school band. I was on the drums, and the drum set was in my parents. It was in my house. It's hard to move a drum set. They can bring the guitars over, and we had band practice at the parents' basement, where the drum set still resides to this day.
Sick.
And Nirvana songs are so easy. It's all power chords.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the sort of go-to tracks that we would cover. And the most embarrassing part is that the name of the band that we chose was Anabrin, which is Nirvana backwards. Why
is that embarrassing?
I think it's just like about as cheesy as you could come up with. And
hey, you're in high school. Don't worry about it. It's good trivia when we're older. We can laugh about it,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like staying up at night thinking about these things, but
it smells like Neeme spirit.
One of those things.
So, yeah, we're gonna move on to recently. Doug Polk and Sean Teague had a little bang about like poker vlog. Chris Kruk too about poker vlogs. Do you have any opinions? I know you're in defense of like a lot of people, especially in awards or just like issues when people get attacked a little too much. You play a little defense, so you want to play a little defense for yourself.
I mean, I don't know. It depends. It depends on which aspect either of those guys are referencing. I think they probably had different points that they were making. And I think true. Obviously these guys are super accomplished poker players, and they're going to have their opinions, and it could be worth something. It might not be. I mean, when you're a creator, there's always going to be opinions about whatever you're doing, and you're going to kind of have to roll with it. But I mean, when I started the vlogs, I just felt like it was because there was something that was a little bit lacking out there, and I started making videos that I thought I would really personally enjoy watching as a poker player who was like, playing the stakes that I was playing. So if you think about it, like I would have loved to have seen Doug. Like if Doug had vlogs from back in the day when he was sort of like on that path in this part of his poker journey, I would love to be able to watch that. Or anybody who's like on the path in whatever industry that they're working in. And I think that's I think it's just really cool to sort of watch someone get after it in that fashion. And I don't know if you mentioned to me that there's talk of people like idolizing someone who maybe makes a vlog, which I don't know if that's really accurate or whatever.
I don't know if I said that,
but
Chris Kruk may have said, or I don't know. It's inferencing, I guess. It's more of a bang to their fan base, but you basically said what I think too. It's like I remember on the Kid Poker documentary, they said there's like 600 million people playing poker. Not all of them are going to be focused on high stakes. A lot of, and we're going to move into the subject of your meetup games with like Brad Owen and Johnny Vibes, which I attended as well just to check it out. But it's just like everybody is in a different stage in poker, and it's poker, the game / phenomenon that's a subset of humanity. And even if you don't play poker, you've heard of it. But some people in that 600 million people are into the vlogging scene because that's in their stage of development in poker.
Yeah, I mean, not everyone's going to want the same thing. Obviously, like Doug's going to encourage people to maximize their results. He's got a training site, and he's also achieved a crazy amount of success for someone as young as he is. And so it's totally understandable, like, from his point of view. But at the same time, not everybody is going to want the same things. Maybe they just want to keep poker a casual aspect of their lives. And to me, I think that's going to be the vast majority of people. They're still going to want to have a glimpse of, what that life looks like, and maybe they take something from the guy who's out there on the grind and can apply that to whatever pursuit they're on personally. So I think there's plenty of things that you can take away from it, and I think it's kind of not ideal to use broad strokes on any sort of audience, especially when it comes to poker. Especially like when I mentioned when I first started making the videos, I feel like there's kind of like three things that you can do when you're sort of like unhappy about an aspect, like in the industry that you're working in. I feel like first thing that you could do would be to just not partake in that aspect. And when we're talking about this, it would be don't watch vlogs if you're not happy with them.
Right.
The second thing would be something like you could take steps to make that aspect of the industry better, which in this example, that would mean like, creating something yourself that you think would be an improvement on these vlogs. Or the third thing would be you could do neither of those and you can just kind of like complain about them. And I just feel like if you're just going to complain about them, that's sort of like the most whack choice out of the three that you could come up with. 'Cause like before I started making the videos, I felt like there was a bit of a hole as far as the content that was out there in poker. I felt like a lot of it was either just, not really relatable to the average poker player, and or just wasn't of the quality that I thought it could be. So I tried to, I stepped up and I tried to fill that hole. And I think if you eventually I think if you if you personally get after it out there, I think that's pretty admirable. And it seems like a lot of people are into these sorts of things.
Another high-quality vlogger in the YouTube chat, Johnny Vibes. But it's interesting because you and Johnny Vibes were both in the music industry and do the vlog thing, and a lot of this hating is similar. It's like, if you like a genre of music and I don't feel it, or if I like a genre of music and I don't feel it, I don't have to like attack you for liking a genre of music that I don't get, and vice versa. It's like, you can like what you like, I like what I like. It's not a big deal.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's what I mean about just like using these broad strokes to describe the entire poker playing audience. It's usually doesn't make a whole lot of sense to do that, in my opinion. But I don't know if these guys really care what my opinion is, and for good reason. I mean, they're at the top of their game. They're at the top of the poker chain, the poker world, and they have their opinions, and it's reasonable, and it's good to have. It could be good to have their opinions, and they're gonna call out what they think is bad for the industry, and it's fine. Everyone is allowed to have their opinion.
Right, and there's just no way that the vlogs are damaging to the industry, especially you're being supportive of the community, plus conveying your hands truthfully, which I've heard some people. I mean, I don't know for sure, but like people have told me that some vloggers don't communicate their hands truthfully, and I think that's kind of damaging. That's heading towards like the fakeness, so to say. But if you're reporting what you're doing in the stakes that you play, like honestly, I don't think there's anything. I think a lot of people would appreciate that, like the contribution, even if they're not directly your audience.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think there's still like this kind of this mystery, a little bit like shrouded about poker, that, and especially before there was vlogs. People still have such an image about poker. Whether is it a shady thing? Does it happen in back rooms at bars and stuff, right, and all these underground games or whatever? And when you see someone like going into the casino, and this is how you buy chips, and this is how it works, and this is a thought process that happens when you break down a hand in a game that you can afford to play in, I think it takes a lot of that mystery away from it, and it brings it, into a little bit more into the forefront. And obviously, we're on the same page. You're preaching to the choir here. But I don't know. What are you going to do?
Yeah, so I mean that's a similar thing, because we take for granted that we walk in and we've done it for like over a decade, and I've played with a lot of TV players, and they've said hands with me as well. That's something that we probably take for granted, but the audience may not have that experience and might be a little bit scared or curious or don't even know what's going on. And then once they see like you walk in the Bellagio and break down a hand, they're less intimidated and they're like, oh, let me give this a try.
Yeah. I get so many there's so many messages like that sort of sentiment, and the poker room can be so intimidating. You have the person with a suit up front that you have to talk to and explain what your intentions are, and there's so many words that are like a foreign language, and
Yeah.
anything you can do to make the poker world more accessible is obviously a good thing.
Right. That was one of the things about Live at the Bike is like I didn't really understand the place of Live at the Bike in the world until I participated and it was explained to me. Is because like once you become players, you tend to not watch poker as much because you're going to be playing. So one of the things is once
Right.
online was made illegal or whatever, there are so few ways to be able to watch hands that go down, and that's something where Live at the Bike and vlogging kind of fill that void when you have an example hand and people like talking about the hands.
Yeah, and I think Live at the Bike doesn't get enough credit. Especially for the longevity that it's had.
Right.
When you look at these these poker awards things, it was very tournament based, tournament focused. All the awards, all about these different things, and there was nothing in there about the couple of different cash game live streams that are out there, and thousands of people tuning in to watch you guys do your thing over there at the bicycle, and
Right. Well,
I think it's pretty cool.
it's just like Brad Owen getting kind of snubbed for Vlogger of the Year, right? The people who watching are just like, oh my God, what the heck are you guys doing? But it's just like they're not watching, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
We're not going anywhere, so
Yeah.
if they snub us for a couple more years, whatever. Like you said, rising tide lifts all boats. Lifts all boats.
There you go.
Um,
The Wayne show will get a global poker award one of these days, I'm sure.
I'm doing it for the peeps, doing it for Live at the Bike. But yeah, I'm not going to say no if they do hand me something. So the meetup games,
Nice.
like I don't know how they started. I was probably busy at the time when you first started meetup games, but I went to the one recently and it was just like packed. It was like crazy. So how did it start out, and then how did it get to where it is now? And you're hosting one May 14th, your first Vegas 2019 meetup game at South Point.
Yeah, tomorrow at a new venue that we haven't been to yet. Hasn't been on the
South
blog
Point.
yet. The South
Yeah.
Point. So because they got 22 tables, so this thing is really ramped up and caught on a little bit. It sort of first started, I guess, what was it, like 2 WSOPs ago. Brad and I, we were just kind of kicking around ideas or whatever, and during the WSOP here in Vegas, the wait lists are ridiculous at the usual spots, particularly
Right.
like at the Aria. Can take forever to get into a game there. So we just had an idea, like how about this? We'll just put out a tweet. We'll say, let's meet at the Mirage tomorrow at 4 p.m. For a 2-5 game. And they usually don't get a 2-5 at the Mirage ever. They might get one during the series, but even then, midweek probably not. So it was just an idea to get people together. We told people, I don't know if we told the Mirage, but we told, obviously the people are aware that we were, we're going to have the cameras there, and we'll just hang out, and it'll be a casual game. It's not going to be all grinder serious. It'll be, you guys can help us make a vlog out of it. You can be in the vlog, and we'll have some drinks. And then after the game, we'll go to the bar for an hour or two, which I think that first time turned into 5 or 6 hours at the bar. But it was really cool, and it seemed like people seemed like they were into it. And it was sort of an idea for to bring the vlog sort of to life and get people together who enjoy watching these things, and to create a game that sort of had some home game elements to it. So we now the bomb pots, which are pretty popular in all sorts of different circles now, but people are excited to do a bomb pot every dealer change. I don't even have to bring it up. Someone else brings up because maybe they don't get to do it ever in their casinos wherever they're from. And so yeah, it's just pretty casual. It's there's a lot more talking. There's a couple more beverages on the table than average, and it's just kind of a pretty lighthearted vibe.
So yeah, shout out to you and Brad Owen for doing this stuff. So basically, that's what I feel is kind of missing from the 2005 poker scene, whereas kind of everybody knew each other. Helmuth knew Esfandiari, they knew Negranu, they knew Howard Letter, et cetera, et cetera. So they have like history and they have talk, and that's kind of the banter that we try to do at Live at the Bike. Is like all these guys know each other, so we could just like shoot off each other. Whereas like um, I can be in the booth with anybody, but if I'm able to shoot it with them back and forth, that's always better than me being polite to them than being polite to me, so to say. Even though we don't have it's just we don't have those shared experiences, so to say. And you're creating these shared experiences, so maybe 5 or 10 years down the line, when some of your guys at the meetup games, they're gonna be like, "Yeah, I was there at Andrew Neme's meetup game, and this is the content that I'm gonna provide, for the poker world."
Yeah, who knows? Maybe. It's cool though. It's a good point. I mean, when people show up to the games, they sort of know. They feel like they know us. They feel like they know Brad and I, and it
Right.
just feels like you're going to play with someone that you know. And you can ask him. You can ask us questions about the vlogs. We can chat about poker or whatever the hell you want, and they just sort of know what to expect. And like I said earlier on, Vegas could be a little dusty sometimes when it comes to nine-handed, two blinds, Texas Hold'em.
Headphones.
There's a lot of pros, there's a lot of regulars, there's a lot of locals that live here that play poker, and to have this as a sort of a little bit of an antidote to that, it seems like it's caught on a little bit at least.
Right. So I feel like, especially from the advent of the internet, like things became split up. So before it was like you had to, it's your local card room or people you see on TV, then the internet split up to online poker, and then now everything's spread out and everybody's in a different phase in their life in poker, which might have caused some of the friction between those high stakes players and vloggers and whatever. But now you're just like trying to help bring everybody together. Same with Live at the Bike. We're trying to bring everybody together to be more of like focal points, be like, okay, everybody knows this stuff, and people, and as much as the community participates in this stuff, and it's just a different era that we're trying to bring together, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of, like, in the videos that Brad and I put together, a lot of it is, we're focused on playing our best, and we want to obviously succeed as, we were, before we started making the videos, we were professional poker players. If we're only part-time professional poker players now, that might make some sense, but we still want to try and advance our poker playing careers. We eventually want to move up in stakes. But I feel like the meetup games are sort of a nod to the other, the other side of the coin when it comes to poker, in that you don't always have to play poker, professionally or seriously. It can be like a fun social game. And if we can acknowledge that and capture that and, get together, and sort of, celebrate that, or whatever you want to call it, then that's kind of what it's all about.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So yeah, that's why I went to check out because I can only obviously go to your meetup games if they're in Los Angeles, or else it's too far and I have too many responsibilities here. But I checked it out, and there's just like so many people, and there's like in awe, like starstruck with you and Brad, and Ramsey and Dennis came. Dennis with one end, Poker Bros, and there's just like, yeah, it was a great scene to see that. Your whole meetup game made the poker room positive, which we know a lot of times when you're grinding poker, there's a lot of negative energy versus positive.
It can be, yeah. I mean, I think a lot of the, obviously Brad, both his videos and my videos, we try and keep a positive spin on it. And that's not to say that, like, that sort of became a poker meme over the past month or whatever, just the overly positive thing.
Right.
But if you watch any of our videos, we're gonna get, you'll probably see us pretty tilted and upset about some different things. And anybody who's making poker vlogs, or just about anybody, you're gonna see them miserable sometimes, which what is gonna happen when you're playing a lot of poker. Bad things are gonna happen, and you're gonna see that human side of it as well. But for the most part, yeah, we're not trying to create any sort of negativity where it's not necessary, and that sort of spills over into these games.
Yeah, and I feel like because we're on camera more, we have a lot more pressure to hold it in or handle it better, when inside it's just like killing us. And even though we might handle it a little bit better than some, it doesn't, like Garrett said this too, it goes from like 100 to 98. It doesn't make it easier, but it's a good exercise to try to hold ourselves to a higher standard. Since people
You mean
are
as
watching.
a professional poker player, or what?
No, just getting tilted or agitated when things aren't going your way.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about this a lot recently. It's like, when I was coming up in poker, I sort of thought that like when you become successful professional or whatever, not that I'm like at the top of success, but I used to think that when you lose, you sort of like you look at Phil Ivey and he was just, Mr. Stone Cold and emotionless, and it was supposed to be like it didn't matter. You're just supposed to be a robot, but
Right.
eventually, as the years go on, you learn that it still feels like equally shitty when you lose. You don't adjust your ranges as a result of it, but it still feels like total shit. Like when you get whacked or when you're in a downswing.
Right, which is, I always preach fundamentals. Like when you're emotionally compromised, you need to be able to step back into. I mean, if you could get up and leave too, but if you're strong-willed enough, you can go back to just playing solid, and things can't be necessarily that bad. Especially if your opponents, it's a good game, your opponents are giving away a lot. You don't have to be at your A+ game. Like your A- game can still be profitable, and that's one of the things that your guys' high quality vlogs kind of show, like the human side of the aspect,
Yeah.
strategies, and the human side.
Yep.
So, what are your best Andrew and Busey moments, highlights?
I'm sorry. Say that again.
The Andrew, Neeme, and Busey moments. Any highlights? What are your
Boosie.
Oh, Busey, sorry. I only see the text.
Our highlight moments. I guess. Well, I would say two of them. One was the vlog number 100. That one was pretty fun to put together. I mean, it took me forever to put together, but I was pretty happy with the end results. Just tried to celebrate hitting the 3 digits together on the vlog. Took a helicopter ride on the vlog, so that was pretty dope. And we recently went to the Kentucky Derby and captured that, so that was like a bucket list type thing. And I think she was kind of like the star of the show in the last vlog because she actually won money at the Kentucky Derby.
Sick. I remember watching one too where you guys were opening like fan presents, and it was like, Christmas for you guys. Something. It was awesome.
Yeah, I sort of like stopped doing that for whatever reason. I don't know. I'm sort of like on the fence about that. Like, obviously it's fun. It's great. Who doesn't like getting a bunch of shit in the mail?
Right.
It's fun for the people who send it to be able to it's a way of interacting and watching someone open it in the content or whatever. But I feel like for everyone else, it's probably like what is this? Why do I want to watch you open your mail?
I don't know. I was pretty entertained because it's like I don't know. There was a wide range of gifts. Some of them were like normal, like chips from other casinos, but others were like more personalized.
Yeah, it's cool. Like people send letters that they actually write out. To get a stack of letters that are like handwritten. It's pretty cool. Yeah, it was definitely cool, and I definitely appreciated all that stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I guess sometimes I get in my head a little bit about what people want to see versus doing just what's fun, and it's still tough to find the correct balance of that, or just doing what I want to do and doing what's fun. It's still like a conversation in my head that goes on, even like 2.5 years later of making these videos, thinking about like, should I be doing this or should I be doing that? Should the content go in this direction? Should I just do hand histories, or should I focus more on Vegas suggestions, or should I just do whatever the hell I want? So it's sort of a never-ending conversation.
Right. No, same thing happens here. Is just like we're live at the bike. We're always trying to change situations. Really, the two groups are polarized into one, they want to hear strategy every single hand. The other ones, they want to just have fun. And, but it's hard to please both. And, it's a balance, too, because the Friday games are obviously cutthroat here. And the Wednesdays are the wild cards with different games. And some people only want to see No Limit Hold'em and don't care about the other games, which is understandable. But, we're trying to... And you do some PLO vlogs too, but it's like we try to expand and be like, poker's is not just No Limit Hold'em. That's what you see for 15 years on camera. But a lot of people would do better just doing in different forms of poker because honestly, the bad players in No Limit Hold'em really aren't that bad compared to, say, the other games, which can be more profitable and more fun because, Hold'em gets really stale. You only get 2 cards.
Yeah, I recently was at a bachelor party here in Las Vegas, and we only played Crazy Pineapple, a little bit of PLO, but mainly just Crazy Pineapple. And I think that's like the Win has been getting a Crazy Pineapple game pretty frequently. It's like a low stakes 1-3 Crazy Pineapple game, and that was the first time I'd ever played it, and it was really fun. Yeah, I think obviously like the flop games where the mechanics are very similar are going to be the most appealing is when you're deviating away from No Limit Hold'em and you have
Right.
an audience. I don't know. Did you guys get a license for Short Deck yet? Did the Bicycle get the license yet?
I don't know officially. I know it was applied for. Right now, I think we're going to stick to PLO, Limit, and mixed games. And the thing is, the mixed games aren't even all of them because, yeah, I mean, some of them the software won't support necessarily the stud games. But it's like it's a slow process, and basically, they generally need somebody like me who plays all the games and can translate things into No Limit Hold'em terms to make the transition. Whereas like in the beginning, because I'm familiar with like a lot of games, I'll be like, oh yeah, this is a good way, that's a good way. But the audience is not used to, doesn't have enough background to understand necessarily what I'm saying and where I'm coming from. So I have to translate everything in like no limit terms. Like this works for PLO, but not for no limit.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Not that anyone asked, or not that anyone over there asked for my advice, but I feel like
Want to hear?
everything's been going I just feel like everything's been going pretty well for Live at the Bike. I feel like you alluded to, just like the character development and getting to know these players, week after week, seeing them play, and there's a lot of action in those games, and you got some real characters with some real personalities there, and different kinds of personalities, and people pick their favorites and stuff, and I think tapping into that is a lot more interesting, at least for the time being, and a good thing to focus on for Live at the Bike, rather than trying to deviate away and trying to find the right a different game that people are going to enjoy, because it seems like it's full steam ahead for the moment.
Yeah, and just mainly like it's for the archives too, because everyone's like we said, everyone's at a different stage of poker. So maybe when 3 years down the line somebody gets sick of No Limit Hold'em, or even tomorrow somebody gets sick of No Limit Hold'em, they could go in the archives and have some reference into other games, so they're just not going in knowing nothing.
Yeah. But I know people they like a good either story or characters that they can relate with, or characters that they really dislike, or they want to see that person get stacked, or they want to see that person have an amazing session. Things like that I think are what's really important.
Return the Snow Monkey asks you, what other vloggers do you watch?
Honestly, it's tough, man. It's tough to these videos are long form. We're talking about like 20, 25-minute videos here.
Right.
And it takes a shitload of time to put them together, and it takes a decent amount of time to get through all this content. There's a lot of it out there. I think the heavy hitters, my buddy Jamin Burton, his stuff is awesome. I think he needs a little bit more recognition out there in the vlogger accolades. Johnny Vibes, Brad Owen, Marley, all their stuff I think is great. Yeah, it's tough to there's so much content out there. It's just tough to find time to consume it all.
Yeah, no, it's
Joe
Ingram,
tough. Joe Ingram's back in the streets, and he's been killing it with his not blogs, but the Poker Life podcast, and his stuff is so good. He does such a great job of he calls it conversations or whatever, but interviewing people. He moves the conversation along really slowly. I was telling him this, and he listens to what they're saying, and then he asks follow-up questions, and he doesn't just jump from one topic to the next super fast. He lets the person say everything that he thinks he can get out of them about each individual aspect of each topic. So his stuff's been great.
Absolutely. I'm in the chat most of the time. He's squeezing out every little bit of value he can, right? Yeah, so what's, and shout out to Favorable Apparel. I linked it on my Twitter. What's in the future for you for poker? You want to preview for the rest of us?
I don't know, man. It's an interesting question. I definitely want to move up in stakes. I've never been one to just be happy and just be stagnant in any one thing. There needs to be growth happening, and I've been sort of at the capped 5-10 stakes for a few years now, and I want to try and get to the next rung on the ladder. It's really tough though in Vegas, outside of like WSOP time or maybe March Madness time, because there's not a lot of games above 5-10. Aside from private games, now this is a thing here in Vegas. Now there's private games, so we'll see. I wouldn't mind spending more time in California. I alluded to that earlier, and then there's plenty of projects and things that can happen alongside the vlog. Still working with the Run It Up guys, and I know they have one or two things that they're putting together that I'm interested to see how they pan out, and I can still get involved with those guys in any aspects that we think would make sense. But yeah, basically moving up in stakes would be the goal.
Cool. And side games too. No, just kidding. But shout out to Tracy, Patrick Kern, our graphics engineer. He says we're having shotgun a beer and listening to the podcast. So if you guys in the chat have any questions for Andrew, then fire them out here and we could ask him. Shout out to Ashley Michelle, who said the Valentine's vlog was the heart. Was adorable.
Ashley Michelle, shout out.
She actually made the trek from LA to Vegas, and we lost her to you guys.
That's right. I remember that. Yeah, she used to be a part of the operation there.
Yep, she's played on stream. We had quite a few hands on Live with a Bike. Anyone, come one, come all. Ask Andrew some questions. Do you have any coupon code for Verbal?
When's the next, what do you call it, Korean barbecue, poker players eat Korean barbecue vlog coming out?
What's been pretty brutal is, like, I've had a lot to do in the last year or so. So, obviously, anyone's welcome. Like, just come by. Anybody who's on the show, or even off the show or whatever, if you want to just, like, hang out, then we'll go there. But it's my fault. Like, my schedule been so crammed. And I don't know. Everyone's always open, but we'll get him in when we can. Also, my schedule is I'm on the graveyard shift now, so it's hard. Like, it's on me to like wake up, and then on my off days I have like several things to do too.
You're a busy man.
Yeah, whenever you're in town, you and Brad, Johnny, whoever, all welcome to come along. We'll do another one.
You're gonna make a vlog out of it, right?
Yeah, I'll definitely. I need Patrick's always like, you need to up your vlogging. I'm like, dude, I have like so low energy and time, and I have like responsibilities. So the responsibilities obviously come first, but I do want to do some more official, like, high quality stuff in the future. So
yeah.
I thought, yeah, I mean, whoa, a lot of shots fired like recently. I mean, it's kind of a good thing because in a sense that the shots fired are like kind of dumb. Like, there's such minor issues. Like, when stuff is about, like, cheating or the integrity of the game or, illegal stuff, then it's probably bad press. This is just like almost a slap on the wrist and like almost entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, the poker world it's so small and connected that it's hard for the participants to not end up in each other's shit, I guess. And I think that's what you see happen. And everybody finds out about it, because there's people, there's poker Twitter, which is a thing. There's forums. And I think, like, people share things so often. They, send whatever, if it's gossip or if it's strategy or whatever. And I've always thought that, like, that's a big reason why the vlogs took off as quick as they did, is because people in poker, they share things, whether that's in forums or, in their little circles. People have like a crew of people that they talk hands with and things. So I don't know. It's not really that surprising that there's so much drama. It's a very, very small world.
Right. So Francisco Lopez asked Andrew, why don't you play any 2040 Limit Hold'em?
I would say that I've played maybe like a grand total of 10 hours of live limit poker in my life. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know anything about it. I don't know how good that game is. I mean, I guess it's probably decent. I don't know. I mean, Wayne, I bet you would know a lot more about that game and whether it's worthwhile than I would.
In my opinion, it's like why I try to do all the games and post them on my YouTube is for longevity and going wide and a wider variety audience. So I feel like even if you played small stakes limit hold'em like 4-8 at Vegas, it's just that it'll introduce other people to your vlogs and other people can check out limit hold'em and limit hold'em players can transition into your no limit thing. I have say like triple draw, Badoogie, PLO, limit, and just like the demographics that watch each of those seldom overlap. So it's more like going wide than anything.
Yeah.
So you don't have to play 2040. Go ahead.
I guess if casting the widest net in poker and bringing in every single poker player that plays every single game was the goal, then that would make a lot of sense. I don't know. It's just never been like super interesting to me, especially now that it's generally considered a solved game, isn't it? I don't know if that applies to like full ring live limit.
I don't agree, but
definitely.
I think every form of poker. I mean, I think Raz is considered the quote simplest form, and it's just that there's less action against like competent players. I don't think any form of poker is solved by any means.
Okay. So I should get in there and start firing and make some limit blocks.
Yeah, I mean, it's more like just, I mean, this is what I would try to do is just go wide because, like, especially for you, Brad Owen, and, like, Doug Polk, like, you guys just went hard in No Limit Hold'em, and at some point the viewership is a bit saturated. I think that's a little bit why Doug retired from content. It's like, okay, what else does he have to do? He's reviewed, like, most of the major hands in poker,
right.
Covered a lot of the topics, but, poker is a very wide thing, like, No Limit Hold'em is just, the Cadillac / the most watchable form, but, dabbling here and there. Like, if you play 4-8 Limit Hold'em, you're not going to lose that much, even if you are a losing player in the game, which I probably doubt. Like, aces are still good in Limit Hold'em. So is Ace King. So are kings.
I mean, I guess it's a question of whether the people that are watching my videos now, like how many of those people would be bored to tears watching limit hands versus how many new players would be brought in watching that like to watch limit hands.
That is absolutely fair, and that's for everyone to decide. Whereas, like, I've been pretty flexible. Like, I'm doing stuff to kind of just like go wide, whereas like you guys definitely go deep into No Limit Hold'em. So, if that's what your core audience wants, then you gotta listen to your peeps.
Yeah, well, I mean, it just comes back to that thing where it's like so far, yeah, that's been the strategy and the game plan and what I've been up to. But I think at the end of the day, it comes back to doing the thing that you enjoy doing the most, because that's going to lead to a lot less burnout. You're going to be motivated to do it more often, and you're just going to be happier in general, which is pretty key, I think.
Totally agree. Let's see. Ashley Michelle says, I'll come to LA just for Wayne and Korean barbecue. Yeah, always welcome. Yeah, so if you have any shout-outs you want to give, or free Cosmo.
Free Cosmo? I feel like the Cosmo chapter might be closed. I mean, there's some stragglers out there, but I feel like the man has a new cat now. Brad's got himself a new cat. So yeah. I think we need to move on. It's like the ex-girlfriend keeps getting brought up, in this case, literally. I think he's a happy man. He's got a new cat. He's got a new girlfriend. He's got damn near 100 almost 110 or 115,000 subs now on YouTube. His vlogs have been killing it. He gets over 100,000 views on every single video he puts up there. He's Mr. Consistency when it comes to capturing a shitload of hands in his videos. Like, every vlog it seems like has at least 15 hands or something, and the people love it. His B-roll, he like just literally fast forwards through the B-roll. He does his quick little intro in his office. He's not blabbering away into the camera. He writes down what he wants to say about hands, and it's very like precise vlog, and he does that over and over again. And he's also the best at clickbait, titles, and thumbnails. He's a machine when it comes to that. And so yeah, his channel is absolutely on fire. And like I said, he takes the time to think about what he wants to say in the hands. So I think people feel like they're getting pretty reasonable sound advice rather than someone who's just saying something off the top of their head about how they felt at the time.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Brad Owen.
Shout out to Brad Owen.
Yeah,
I want to get him on here too. Get to that. So yeah, anything to talk about the South Point meetup game?
No, man, it's going to be pretty fun. It's going to be pretty straightforward. 6 p.m. is the launch time. Cards in there at 6 p.m. Probably play for like 5 hours or something. 2-5 no limit. Bomb pots every dealer change. Some beverages. The vlogs. All that stuff. Casual 2-5 games. 200 to 1,000, I think, is the buy-in. And this room has 22 tables. So Westgate was our sort of first home in Las Vegas, our sort of first official home. And they were really cool because they opened the door as far as like bringing the cameras in. They fully embraced it, and they put the filming in progress sign out front of the poker room, and they saw the value of it. And so that was really cool. But this new poker room that we're trying out tomorrow will have access to like 4 times as many tables. So shouldn't have to turn anyone away. Shouldn't be much of a wait, even though there's an insane interest list right now of like 95 people. Last time I looked.
Sick. I was gonna say 80.
We should have room for everybody.
Yeah, 12 tables start. So the number to call 702-797-8073 to get on the list. As Andrew said, it went from 80 to 95 in a matter of hours, right?
Yeah, I think a couple things went up today about it, but should be a good time.
All right, I will watch the final product and obviously keep tabs on you. And I'm always watching you play defense for people on issues, and always appreciate it. I'm sure they're appreciative, and I also want to see your point of view on things too.
I usually keep my nose out of the drama, but once in a long while I'll hop in there a little bit.
Yeah, I won't ask you about dramatic issues, but definitely wanted your take on all the latest negativity on vlogging, which I think is a bit undeserved.
I think we see eye to eye, so that's cool.
All right, that's all I got for today. So I will be popping in your comments and your live streams of Brad Owen from time to time and keeping up with the meetup games. And hopefully we'll have you on live with the bike sometimes.
Always appreciate it. Always good to see your name pop in there in the chat. And thanks for having me on the brand new show.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you. And
we'll
let Brad know I want him on. But I got to get some people that wanted to be on the show in the next couple ones.
I'll pass the message.
All right. Thank you. Be logging on.
All right. Later, Wayne.
Later.
Bye.
Bye. Andrew Neeme, guys.